Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Connect Her. I am super excited today because we have with me Caroline Dawson, and Caroline and I have known each other for many, many years, and it's been an absolute pleasure knowing her and getting to know her business, getting to know all about things like EFT tapping and Matrix Re-imprinting, which I had no idea about when I first met Caroline. So, hi, Caroline, how are you?
Hi, Lee. Pleasure to be here.
I'm super excited to have you on the show because, as I mentioned, we've known each other for many years, and you've seen lots of changes in me, and I've seen lots of changes in you.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get down to that because there's plenty to talk about there. Tell me, what is the last song or podcast that you listen to on your phone?
On my phone? Well, I have to say Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, which is one of my favourites. I was literally just listening to that this morning when I got
home. I love that. And that's part of Elton John. Yeah, the new movie that's come out too.
And George Michael. Yeah, well, I saw the movie as well, and he sang it in there. So one of the best parts of the movie, actually. And it just gave me a lot of insights into what Elton John went through, you know. And then, of course, you got the George Michael's side. So I'm always looking at things from the perspective of, you know, what's the song about, what's going on in their own life. Yeah, so that's why it's really meaningful.
And it is, you know, they do write from their heart, don't they, and their experiences. So we'll definitely get into that. That's for sure. So we've got plenty to chat about today. So, Caroline, I've known you in and around EFT, but what was your first foray into business?
Well, I have to say, like, when I was a child, like, my mum had 2 shops, and from a very young age, you know, like, we, because, you know, in England, they just have the local shops. Hers was a dress clothes shop, and then later on, it was like haberdashery and wool and clothes and all sorts of stuff, and I used to kind of stand around and help out, and then I used to do the cashing up. Mum used to call it cashing up, me like counting on the money and then making sure everything tallied. So yeah, that was it. And you know, it's not until you think back at that and think, well, is that my journey? You know, she was a nurse first as well, and then I was a nurse for 30 years and got into business on my own, and so did she. So it's like I'm following in her footsteps.
Yes, because you do have that nursing background.
I do, yes.
Yes. And cashing up these days, it's funny, people forget to count back the money, you know.
Yeah.
In those days, we used to count back their change.
Exactly, that's what I used to do in the shop too.
Yes, we don't do that much anymore. So, Caroline, tell us about your current business, because I know that you've got your EFT training and then that goes off into other spheres. So tell us about your current business, how it works, what makes your heart sing about it.
Okay, cool. So, you know, one of the things about nursing, and I did love it, and I hugely value that experience over those years, because, you know, I bring a lot of that experience and knowledge and working with people in that arena to the table. But what I do now is drug-free, because that was one of the things, was giving out drugs to a lot of elderly people in the last 10 years as a district nurse. And the paperwork's phenomenal. And I just questioned how much nursing am I actually doing, which was not a lot. It was all paperwork. So anyway, so that was that. And then I was moving into, you know, I learned EFT back in 2007.
Can I just stop you there? And for anyone that's not listening, can you please explain what EFT is? Now, I've experienced it and I love it and I cannot stop talking about it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there may be somebody on this show that is listening in and they don't really understand what EFT is.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. All right, so it's just part of my world that you kind of forget other people might know. Although it is kind of really spreading because of its success. So EFT, or emotional freedom techniques, is where we have our energy lines in our bodies called meridians, and we have points where they come out at the end. So if you think about a reflexologist, you know, they're fully focused on the feet, but on these meridians, okay? They don't tend to focus too much on the psychology side of things. Same with acupuncture, sticky needles in points to release negative energy in those energy lines. So EFT is very similar, but we actually tap on certain points of the accessible points on our body. Very, you know, like this one, for example, is the stomach. It relates to the stomach. And so when we tap, we're releasing negative energy just by causing a vibration and a flow. But we also introduce psychology to it. So if somebody has, let's just say they've had an incident and they're feeling really angry, we can focus on that anger. Like, so even though I have all this anger, you know, in my chest, I can still love and accept myself. And so it's a process of working through that rather than having to go into that, oh, you know, what they did, what should they, you know, just working on yourself to get to a place of kind of thinking more logically about a situation. Yeah, so that's just one use of it. We can use it for physical pain. Phenomenal for if someone has got a back pain, a shoulder pain, you know, do some tapping, focusing on that pain in your shoulder, for example. Yeah, we've got a lot of research now. Food cravings is another one. You know, like tapping.
That's one I experience with my chocolate.
And this is where it shows that if you do some tapping and focus on, even though I'm feeling this craving for this food, and as you've experienced on the course, that you can kind of look at that food and go, do you know what, I don't want it anymore. And before it was like 10 out of 10, you want it. And then it's like, I actually don't really want it now. That's just shows you the effect of it on that simplistic level.
Yes. So you've talked about EFT, but you actually take it a whole different level again.
Yeah.
Because you are also a qualified trainer for Matrix Re-imprinting. So can you just give us an overview of that part of it too?
Sure. So, you know, a lot of people have, you know, if you say like chronic ailments, so they might have chronic stress, chronic anxiety, chronic depression, relationship issues, work issues, family issues. Well, Matrix Re-imprinting is great to, it's the healing tool, and we have ways of getting back to relevant I'm going to say memories on negative life events, because nothing has to be a huge trauma. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Sometimes it's just something somebody said to you that you took on as the truth, and then you live that out, but it's not who you're meant to be. And so we, with following the energy, we can actually get back to relevant memories and then use it Matrix Re-imprinting. So what is that? That is actually visiting the memory as your current day self, with all the knowledge and learnings that you've had through your life to bring to yourself at that moment. But we also, and it's literally like stepping into a movie and talking to your younger self. So a lot of people know they want to do that, they just don't know how. And there's different ways of that being done, you know, even now with different modalities. However, the difference with Matrix Re-imprinting is we're actually tapping on the self in the moment, so we can get rid of shocks, we can get rid of anger in that moment. And once you tap, you can get clarity, and then you can see the situation differently. Okay, with a new perspective. It's all about beliefs and the perspective of what happened, because it's quite often wrong, but through the eyes of a child, they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
You know? And then that pattern carries on through our life. So our job, like in a session, is to help break the pattern, that belief system, so that the person can move on and see the world differently, really have a huge, like, really different experience of the world. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying both EFT and Matrix. That's particularly, as I said, I mean, I've been exposed to it and love it and talk about it all the time now. But there are some people that may have heard of it but not quite sure. So thank you. So your current business is EFT training. So you do training and you do sessions and work with people. So tell us about your current business, because I know trying to pin you down because you travel a lot with your business as well.
I do.
Tell us all about it.
All right. So the core of what I do is I am a certified EFT and Matrix Re-imprinting trainer. There are add-ons to that, you know, so you know, we have one for specific issues. So there are a number of courses that I teach, EFT level 1, 2, 3. And so I travel around the world teaching. So I've been to India in December, and then you know, South Korea. Where else have I been? New
Thailand.
Zealand. Yeah, well, yeah, I was presenting in Thailand about this work at a detox retreat, because, you know, it's okay with detoxing, but then all the emotions, because you know, you're not able to use food to stuff all the emotions down, so they come up. So I was presenting on, like, what's going on, you know, why these emotions coming up and what you can do with it. I taught in England as well in December, so it looks like I've got Turkey coming up. I've been asked to go and teach there.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really exciting, and yeah, I love the travel, and it's amazing to actually teach within the culture of the country, so you get a real understanding of their, you know, conditioning, belief systems, you know, everything that's going on for them while you're actually there. So that's been really interesting, especially India and Korea, South Korea.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I
So
teach in Australia as well, obviously, mainly Queensland, and at my wellness centre in Seaford, near
yes,
Frankston.
and also where you'll be hosting Connect Her meetings as well in
Absolutely,
Seaford.
yes.
And I know you head up to Sydney, and so you're definitely getting out there. What are the types of people that you're teaching EFT to? Is it a particular type of person that's drawn to your trainings, or is it just anybody?
Do you know, it's interesting. I have a variety of people, and that's what's amazing about it. So I might have a family member that comes on because they want to help their family with this. You know, it's all about helping yourself first, you know, and that's what happens on the courses. You learn the technique, but you're also getting a lot of education about what life is all about and how we are as human beings. So it can be I've had teachers, nurses, psychologists. I've had medical doctors come on the courses, you know, because everybody comes on for a different reason. Maybe it's because they, you know, initially what I find is as well, you know, these techniques are so easy to use and to learn and use. For yourself, but also, you know, with others. And so I find people that come on, they might come on for themselves, but then they go, you know what, I think I could do this and become a practitioner and help other people. That's really common. Because again, they're leaving quite different from the person that walked in on day one, which I love. So yeah, I, you know, attract a lot of amazing people from all different backgrounds, you know.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Caroline, obviously travel plays a big role in your business. What do you find is challenging in your business? Because for me, I think if I was stepping in and out, you know, traveling, I'd really find that challenging because of the personality type that I am. I've got to be, you know, in control and hands-on, and obviously, you know, everybody has a different personality type, but for me, stopping and starting and traveling would be a challenge for me.
Sure.
What's challenging for you in your business?
Well, I'm such a visionary. You know, I've just got a big belief on my journey. And when you're a visionary and a big picture person, it's the detail that becomes a challenge, because that to me is a bit boring. So,
Hello.
you know, I love getting I love getting on planes, and you know that, and I can, you know, the great thing is with technology these days, you can continue to look at your emails and you can communicate with people. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
I love that part, and I'm always working with that. But it's the Mondays, let's call it, like, it's mundane to me. It's not mundane to a lot of people, but it's all that, you know, doing your social media and doing your emails. And I mean, I'm kind of lucky because a lot of my people coming on courses or clients is all referrals. You know, I don't really have to advertise much. However, that still does have to be done to a degree, and so that kind of gets put on the back burner quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that would be my challenge. Yeah.
I'm going to throw you a curveball here, because I know that you do some social media and emails and have you.
Yeah.
Do you rely on networking as a key component to get your business and you known? Would that
Absolutely.
be the biggest sort of marketing tool that you use?
Yeah. Well, I've been doing networking for, would have to be about 8 years. And I always say to students, you know, when they come back and we talk about business and how to get yourself out there, I always like talk about networking, because again, you know, I don't have to sit on a computer to that, and I'm a real like face-to-face person.
Mhm.
And so, you know, and I've made some, like self-included, like some really great friends over the years, you know, just by going to these events.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And you get to
And we met
showcase.
through a networking event too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
And you know, if people can see you, it's one thing behind a screen, you know, because anybody can present themselves really well on Facebook or whatever, but they might not be that person when you meet them. At least at networking, you are that real person in real time. And if you're not walking the talk, people suss you out. You know what I mean? So I'm a big believer of walking the talk as well, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
it's so true. You make amazing connections. And in
Mm,
fact, podcast 14, we talk about the human needs, the 6 human needs that Tony Robbins presented in his 2006 TED Talk. And one of
mm,
those is connection,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
followed by love. So you get that when you go to networking.
Yeah.
You get that connection, and you do build that you know a friendship and guidance
Rapport.
and rapport and
Yeah. And it's because you like, you know, you might have different businesses, but it doesn't matter. You still, you know, you're still in business. You kind of all have commonalities. We share, like we do a lot of sharing, don't we, about, you know, if we
yeah.
haven't got a challenge and what we can do about it. And then there might be somebody in a room that can address that challenge. You know, so at the moment I'm, you know, talking about having a video done, and
Mm,
for a new website. And so, you know, that's all happening through networking. Mm.
fantastic. I love it.
Mm.
So we've talked about some of the challenges. What's the favourite? And I actually think I know the answer because I know you know you
Yeah.
well. But what's your favourite part of your business?
Oh, look, the results. You
Yeah.
know, like people say to me, and I think they consider, you know, because I see people with quite a lot of trauma, you know, not everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people, especially in the past. Um, and I think to be able to give them a tool and take them through healing at that level and see the difference, like literally on their face, like they just had a facelift, for example.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, how can I live on endorphins. I really do. Do you know what I mean? People say, "Oh, do you not get like drain, you know, like dying and did it?" I'm like, "Well, how can I if I'm seeing people have results? I'm not doing talk therapy here. I'm not talking about the problem the person's re-traumatizing. Um, yeah, we get results, and so and the person's life can change in one session, and so that's what I absolutely love about this work. Yeah,
Mm.
because it's life changing. Yeah.
And it is, and I certainly have experienced that
Mm,
myself
yeah.
in multiple times. So coming to you prior to doing the course, and then of course
Mm,
doing the course. So just love it. Uh, One thing that I do love about EFT and also the way you teach as well is, firstly with EFT, it's non-invasive. So
yes. Yes.
and you walk away and you can do it on yourself. You can keep doing it
Mm,
to get over. Look, we all. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they said, "Oh, I think I've lost all my belief in myself, and
yeah.
I feel like I've lost my confidence."
Mm-hmm.
And and I said, "Oh, look, I do too. Like, we all
Mm,
do. You can come across confident and excited and what have you, but
yeah,
sometimes there's that level where you can start working on that so that you can, build that." So that's what I love about the way you
yeah.
teach and your business.
Well, that's the thing, and we do a really good job, don't we, of putting on a good show, you
Mm,
know, to the public. But underneath, there's like somebody in there that's kind of looking for help. And what I love about EFT, and again, especially Matrix, is we don't need to know the story, because it's not about the story. It's like the emotion you felt at the time, which we can tap on, but what you made it mean, what was the belief? Because that's actually that's the detrimental part that we carry through from childhood, typically, the patterns, So I don't need you to kind of revamp the story and tell me all the detail. No, it's not about that. It's about, there's emotion there, right? Let's tap on it and let's work through the layers.
Yeah.
And quite quickly, as you've experienced. Yeah.
Which leads me on to this question, Carolyn, which is quite bizarre. But if you could whisper in the ear of your day one business self, what would you say to her?
The word believe in yourself comes up, but I've always had that belief. I've always been a strong person and I can do this and I know this. And obviously the more work I've done on myself with this work, the stronger that's become. I think just trust that, trust in your journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And looking back, all the things that have not worked, your trial and errors and everything. Now I'm just seeing as just a huge part of the journey of, okay, well, I tried that before, but now this opportunity to come up again, I'll do it differently. I think that's what it is. It's about trusting the journey and following your intuition. Like, just stay with your intuition, because if we don't do that, we go off on a track. And so you can kind of go the straight way, or you can kind of go like this way.
Yeah.
But yeah, following your intuition, definitely.
I love it.
Yeah.
Caroline, thank you for spending time with us today on our podcast and also on our YouTube video.
You're welcome.
Everybody can get in contact with you, and I highly recommend having a look at your website, which is efttraining.com.au.
Yes.
Now, just as a side note, I know that you're working on a couple of projects.
Yes.
That lead from EFT training into these projects.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you like to talk about them, or would you prefer to come back on at a later stage?
Oh.
There.
I think I might come on at a later stage, actually, because
basically
because I'm working on the branding now. I've got the whole concept and everything of one area, which I'm really passionate about, and then the other one, we're not quite. It's all formulating as well. Both passionate areas of mine that because as you know, I've worked in the area of helping people go through domestic violence, but I'm feeling like there's people out there doing that now. But I think my journey is now prevention. Prevention of that through a certain area, which I'll just say fertility. All right, let's just say fertility. So,
we'll put fertility out there. And we will come back when you have launched.
Yes, that would be amazing. Yeah,
and we'll talk about that journey as well, because I know that your training and Matrix is the hub.
Yeah,
but you help other people in specialist areas. So I really wanted to let our listeners know that that there's other things that really make you tick as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Excellent. Well, that website again is efttraining.com.au, and don't forget to check out the Connect Her website, which is connecther.com.au. You can get links and also copies of our show notes on there, as well as links to Caroline's website.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you.